Hey guys, Stealth here. Today I'm looking at a NORAD General deck that was sent in by YALK, and this deck is supposed to be worked with in 10v10, 6v6, 4v4, and he says I have tried it in 3v3s and 2v2s, it might work in 1v1, but he's only been playing a few months. Now he has a pretty large overview of these units, and all of these are pretty well thought through. He says logistics, I tend to roll with the Humvees. Mainly because they're numbers, and in lower point games, the LAVs in higher point games. So these are the slightly more expensive units. The Humvees are 10 points cheaper, but they do give you more units. They give you 6 instead of 4. As far as the infantry tab, he says, I'm pretty happy, or pretty settled on the infantry tab. I don't like wasting a slot on man pads with only 5 cards. That's a fair point. The thing is, though, that I think he has way too many units of infantry here, or at least more than would suit my taste. He has the US Marines, Canadian Airborne, times 2, Canadian Rifles, and a group of Erics. So what he doesn't have is any kind of man-pads. And he states that he doesn't want to spend any points on those because you don't have that many. You only got 5 cards here, if you choose to spend your activation points here. I really think that they should be in here because defending a town with a bit of man-pads makes it a lot easier. And considering we have this large assortment of infantry, I don't think we need this many really. So I'm going to delete 1 card of Canadian Airborne. We still have a pretty large diversity. We have the Canadian Rifles with their autocannon wielding transport, Grizzlies with Canadian Airbornes, and Marines for heavier fighting. And I'm going to throw in the Stingers. LOD Stinger C in the 113A1. A couple of those mean that I have at least a bit of air defense. Now, moving on to support. He says, I know I'm missing radar guided AA, but I don't want to spend, or I don't want to micro them on or off. Plus, I like the ADATs, the Atacams, and the Avengers. I swap around Paladins with 40mm mortars. Now, in my deck, or at least my playstyle, usually very heavily favors mortars. Because they can put up a smokescreen a lot faster than, for example, the Paladin can. And sometimes you just really need that smokescreen. Considering he also has the Atacams in here, I'm definitely gonna change out the Paladins for the mortars. Because this thing is pretty much a very effective solution to high value targets. So long as they're not infantry. These things, if you haven't worked with them before, fire a 20 armor penetrating missile right on top of a target, so they don't attack from the front or the side, they attack from the top. This means they can one-shot anything in the game. It also means that they take forever to reload. These things cannot be used often, but the targets that you shoot at will die. Just make sure that you pick your targets very carefully. Do not waste these things on 5 or 15 point transports. If you have something that you want to fire this thing at, make sure it's a 120 point plus tank. Or something along the lines of artillery, very expensive AA pieces, or helicopters that are hovering. So the Paladins for me are out. Let's bring in the mortars, the LAVM, very trusty and fast mortar. As for the other part, he has no active radar guided AA. He says, I like the ADATs. The ADATs, as well as the Avengers, for me don't really have any long range anti-air range. So the range against airplanes is only 2625. That means that if you are the target of airstrikes, you are not too likely to shoot them down. The Avengers is even worse. Well, the accuracy is great, the range is only 1820. That means that the aircraft pretty much has to come straight at you, fly pretty much right over you, and then you might have a chance to actually kill it. Otherwise, it's not too likely. You're not too likely to hit them. But okay, let's just keep these things in and see how effective they can be together. Tanks. He says, for tanks, I found I don't need a super heavy, having the longbow, the A10, and the Atacams. Interesting way of thinking. I have not actually considered that. What I do see, though, is that he has the C2 and the C2 Maxes, which are pretty similar vehicles. The C2 has pretty much exactly the same specs as the Mexes. It's just that the Mexes is more heavily armored in exchange for 10 points more price point. As you can see, the gun is exactly the same. The vehicle is slightly slower, probably to resemble that armor that is additionally or that is added to the vehicle. Autonomy is a bit lower as a result. Everything else about this vehicle is just the same or better than the C2. So for my playstyle, I would not bring the C2. The C2 Mexes would be a really good fire supporter. The Abrams would be a really nice tank to help out with, let's say, medium to heavy tanks. And as far as a super heavy, you may be right, you may not need it. I usually bring the M1A2 or any kind of similar variant, just because these things give you a lot of armor and even more firepower. 24 points of armor penetration, 70 points of accuracy. It's going to punch through anything in the game. It's going to really, really rank up the kills. If you keep it alive. That is usually the challenge here. The thing is, without a super heavy, I'm going to have to rethink my playstyle with this deck. Because I usually rely on super heavies to deliver the damage, and for example the M1A1s to soak up the damage. Not having a super heavy means that you have to reconsider that. But what you could take here, for example, is the MBT-70. This one could be useful in dealing with infantry as well as vehicles. Accuracy leaves something to be desired, range is not that good, but that autocannon really helps out. The ATGM on it? No, just no, not so much. The AGS is another really nice vehicle, fast tank, high rate of fire, delivers a lot of damage. Depending on how you want to play this deck, there are different routes to go. If you want to take this deck into the open, I would take more tanks. But it seems to me that this deck, especially with the high amount of infantry, is centered around taking towns and assaulting those towns. And with that, you may not need a super heavy. For that, the MBT-70 would be ideal with the autocannon. So I'm going to bring 8 of those. Reconnaissance. Here he writes, I have to have the longbow and the AH-1J. So that's the longbow, the AGGM wielding helicopter, and the Cobra for spotting. The ACAV is actually a great and useful recon tank. That's this one. Really nice vehicle, not too expensive, has a bit of armor, it's pretty damn fast for a tank off-road at 25 points. Just don't fire this gun on the move. 20% stabilizer means that you are very, very unlikely to hit anything. As for the infantry, he's using the Rangers and the Navy SEALs. He says I scatter them around for or use for enemy spawn zone shenanigans, or as heliborne taking town force. So the Rangers are heliborne and the SEALs are heliborne. I would not use the SEALs in a helicopter, and the reason for that is that if you want to use these guys as anti-infantry forces, sending them in a helicopter is not the safest way to go. I usually bring them in a V150 because these things are more likely to make it into a town. Vehicles. He says I have no idea. He just has the 163 in here. It's a fire support vehicle, but you have so many better options here. And what we do have is the TH495 with the autocannon. What I would definitely want to bring in here as additional autocannons is the Comvats. Because these have, I believe, one of the best autocannons in the game. Great ground range, the same as some of the tanks that we have. Very, very good accuracy, 5 armor penetration, and if you have these things pummel the side of a tank, they can actually kill it. So I'm going to bring 12 of those. As for helicopters, he says they seem alright. I've had success with the combo. Apache could get swapped out. The Super Cobra is hard to make its point back and fire. It takes a lot of micro. I'm going to take out the Apache because we already have an Apache. We already have the longbow. And I would definitely bring in the longbow quickly because it can take out a lot of tanks very easily. These Hellfires, they are no less deadly, but they are semi-active, which means you have to keep looking at your target. So he says the Cobras, The Super Cobra. Oh right, not these Cobras. The Super Cobra. These guys. Yeah, they do take quite a bit of micromanagement. I'm gonna assume this deck is more or less geared towards 10v10. Not the middle of the map, not the edges of the map, but say the... Well, how am I gonna put that? The Middle Eastern, Middle Western lanes. And I'll explain what I mean with those later as I'm gonna show you some gameplay. In a situation like that, I don't think the Super Cobra is gonna be too useful. And we already have the DAP for anti-air ops. We have the AH-1S Cobra to deal rocket pod damage to your targets. They are a very nice, quick stopgap measure. What I do want to have is a medium tank killer, so I don't need those 26-point Hellfire missiles from the Apache. But these will do. The AH-1F Cobra. You could also pick the C Cobra instead. It depends on your preference and how many armor penetration points you think you're going to need. 15 is going to kill most tanks, but it will take quite a few missiles. The Ito with 20 points of armor penetration is going to do quite a bit better. Its accuracy is also a bit better. You don't sacrifice anything in the sense of main gun or rocket pods, and you only pay 10 points more, so that's going to be my helicopter of choice here. As for the air tab, he says I know the Hornet is better than the A-10, but I love the A-10. Suggestions on the other 3 planes I'll take though. He has the Thunderbolt, really good anti-tank killer, and yes, the Hornet can do that job better if you really want it to do, let's say, have the most expensive anti-tank plane in the game, or at least one of the. This thing has fire and forget missiles, the Thunderbolt not so much. Actually, it does have fire and forget, but let's see, here it is. Oh right, I cannot select it like that. There we go. The Thunderbolt also has fire and forgets, but they are slightly inferior in stats. They only have 40% accuracy versus 50, and they don't pack quite the punch, but they do pack more of them. And of course you still do have the Avenger autocannon on the on the plane, right there in the nose. I really like the A-10 too, so I'm going to keep it for this deck. Wild Weasel for seed. You have quite a few options here for seed aircraft. You could go with the Raven, the Wild Weasel, the Prowler, or the Electric Voodoo. Their stats are all pretty similar. The Wild Weasel, though, is the one that I consider inferior, because some of the enemy AA might have a range larger than 4,200 meters. So you're going to get close, you're going to get too close. And that's why I don't prefer the Wild Weasel. You can take the Prowler, it's going to stay outside of range. And if you really want to have long range seed, you're going to take the Raven. This is very expensive, but it is definitely my preference for seed operations. We have a Deagle here, a 15D Eagle, really nice bomber, and a couple of fighters, which will definitely hold their own. So, that's the deck. Now I'm going to take it into a 10v10 because I think that's where this deck can perform well. So, hang on and I'll be right back with you. Hey guys, let's get into this game. Now, this is the deck that I just showed you, the deck from YALKs. I'm going to take the, well, not the eastern route on the middle, but let's say somewhere towards the middle of the map, which is, for me, Oscar. I'm going to try to push into Mike, capture that zone, and get a land reinforcement zone. Now, let's try and get these things across. Sometimes, I don't know why, but the 10v10 servers are lagging or something. My fob, for example, I couldn't move it. No idea why. May have been some sort of lag. I could delete it, so I did that. So, this position here would require some infantry, and I think that the Aeriks can do really well there. They can take out things at, let's say, medium range. 1,000 meter, 8 missiles, very high armor penetration, should be good. I have... who's that? I have Giovanni with me here. Let's see, some support units. I don't have too many. Let's start it with an ADATS. A couple of LAVs. No, that's for later. ADATS, Avengers. Deploy some Stingers in that area. I'm going to go for an Eagle, a Thunderbolt, and a Raven right from the start. Nanakusa surrendered. That's a blue 4. That's bad news for me. does give me a few more units, but that's not really what I need. I need people to micromanage forces. Reconnaissance, let's send in a couple of ACAVs, as well as, let's go with the Cobra, Hilo. So now I can deploy infantry inside this position. I can deploy my tanks, let's say somewhere along here or there, depending on how far I can push. And if there is a large assortment of units, I can always do a bombing run on them. Alright, rushing in. I got my LAV here. I'm the only one in Victor, it seems. Couple of units here. No dear, nobody's capturing this. That is bad news. Now the good news is that Spawn Vertical or something like that is a good player. I checked him, he has a 74% win rate. He will have gotten all the forces from Nanakusa, meaning that he's going to be in control of those, and I'd rather have him in control than someone who may not have the skills to manage that many forces. So this is where my AA infantry is going to offload. Let's put my Avengers there for now. My Mexes are going to push up as far as they can. One ACAV that flank, the other ACAV over there. Combat and Abrams pushing up. Same for the MBT-70, slightly off to the side. Okay, we got a CV here. Do we have a CV move in this position yet? Doesn't look like it. We do, however, have a couple of helos coming this way. That is not where I was expecting them, really. What is this? Looks like a transport. BTR 80. Not really. So what did you drop off, if anything? Infantry. Nope. Denied. Now he has far better aircraft or AA guns than I do. Actually not AA guns, air-to-air guns I suppose would be the better description of these things. Let's get my Grizzlies up. One ADATS off to the side. And deploy some Rangers up there as a spotter team. As well as a Stinger team. And let's bring in a DAP to shoot down any helos that might come too close. Alright, get the Stingers up a bit closer. Nothing here yet. If I can push in here fast and far, that would be useful. But I also need to think about bringing a CV to this position. Target. Considering that it was going to start firing... Oh, it's never mind. It's just a spotter. If that's it, I'm not worried. Now... Add a cams on hotkey. BTR 90 is not a high value target. Here's my Black Hawk. Let's relocate that. Abrams is taking a lot of fire. Something's doing quite a bit of damage there. Send the Avengers up. What do we have here? Looks like a tank of some sort.
What are your orders, sir?
I don't have too many CVs.
I need the tail rotor check.
That's close enough. Offload for there now.
Brace yourself, we're flying in.
Oh, my infantry's coming in from this angle. Bloody hell, that's something I really need to be on the lookout for.
At the ready, sir.
T-80U? Really?
Brace yourself, we're
I think the
flying in.
Thunderbolt's gonna have its work cut out for it.
Someone need a guardian angel?
If I can spot it. And there's the T-80U.
Let's hope the enemy don't have any air defense.
Keep it spotted. Oh, hello.
Ready to go.
Wasn't really expecting a 100-point AA kill. That must have been in Tunguska.
Someone need a guardian angel?
Shit. Interceptor coming in. Tunguska going live. Hit. On the T-80.
Ready to go.
My Thunderbolt's stunned though. Oh, I doubt it's gonna make it out alive. Maybe though. Yeah, it made it out alive. Well, that was really unexpected.
Need customers for a taxi route.
Okay. Now, time to fix up my wounded tank here. And I'm going to send over another one. This is probably where we're going to see if this deck has the problem of having no super heavies. If that is really going to be an issue. Pushing heavily on this flank. We got Disciplicus, or Discipius, and Korogoth 21. So that's 2 people there. Hello T80, you're gonna stop there. I got a beautiful missile from the Atacams right there waiting for you. 155 point target. Perfect for the Atacams. SBS are probably spotting it. Missile away. Relocate.
Start the engine, driver. We're moving.
Capped. And in a pretty safe position here. I'm gonna have to send some sort of recon over to this flank though. A bit worried about getting flanked here, it's too easy. Here's the missile, and no kill. Damn, I was hoping I would get a kill there. Let's see about pushing these rangers up a bit more. It's usually a very dangerous traverse here. Got a lot of stuff here as well. Couple of euros, there's another buck. Buck is not too expensive. Not really worth firing an Atacams missile at.
What are your orders, sir?
There's something there though. What is that? That's another T-80U.
Stalin's organ, they call it. Tchaikovsky would fit there.
Hold. Or actually shoot the logistics trucks if you can get away with it.
Want us to play some organ?
Missile is away. Hold. Damn it. Almost had a line of sight on it. Send me some more rangers. Missile going in. Lost my ACAV. Play down the middle. Splash. 155 points. Raven is still being fixed up.
We're sweeping this area.
So don't have to expect anything from him anytime soon.
What are your orders, sir?
Here's my damaged Abrams. Go up. Send me another heavy Abrams.
You spotted something?
I'm gonna try and get some shots into all of these transports here. Preferably the buck, but I don't have the range yet. Let's try and reach that position. Oh, Concourse team. He's down. Not all of them are, though. One missile actually impacted.
What are your orders, sir?
Yeah, they did try to get another missile in there. Ooh. Come on, survive. Nope, didn't get it. I'm gonna first do a bombing run with a seed aircraft here, and then go for a bombing run with them. Good coordination with Trajanus there. Alright, let's start to ready up some mortars, as well as some infantry.
Need customers for a taxi route.
This is not the infantry I'm referring to, by the way. Just want to get my rangers out here as another spotter team. As for assaulting this field, let's go with some US Marines. Set the Sedum route. Do a bombing run right about there. Something's shooting me. Shooting the Rangers. Shit. Rangers are dead.
Brace yourself, we're flying in.
Missile going in. Seed is, or AA is dead.
Where do you need us, sir?
Bombs going in. Not sure why he's parking all of his transports there. Just a bunch of transports. That's all. Send that over to Specs. There we go. We need a few more heavy tanks here because I did see some T-64 somethings.
Who do you want us to transport?
He's down. Mortars are in position. Oh crap, really? Yep, really. We need to kill that. Right now. Let's put some Avengers here. And then create a sort of column for this unit to move up through. No hits. That's one hit. You got one stinger left. Come on. Go and get it. No, I'm not going to try and catch him. It's too far into enemy territory at this point. Alright, Marines, start walking. Did someone blow up my Abrams? Yeah, must have. Wonderful. Jesus, they are really spawning every kind of recon I have over here. Come on, get away from there. Yeah, and a body bag. Getting in here is real difficult.
Captain and his crew welcome you aboard.
It's not impossible, but it is difficult.
Where do you need us, sir?
Send in a Thunderbolt. I'm gonna try and see if anything is gonna be lit up by the Raven. So note there's a Tunguska there somewhere.
The enemy don't have any air defense.
Where though? He just dodged something. That's blue. Great. Yeah, 2 pops right from that tree line. There-ish.
The captain and his crew welcome you aboard.
There's a T-80U there. Let's see if my Thunderbolt can make short work of that. In the meanwhile, we got multiple blue fours surrendering. Oh, I can see why. Yeah, that's going to be a huge problem.
Brace yourself, we're flying in.
20 points only. It's less than expected. Killing Scratchets. Again though, the bird is stunned. Come on. Yeah, that was too much. Looks like I'm being smirched here.
Platoon is formed and ready.
What is that? That's a tank of some sort. Alright, my Marines are ready to go. Let's get the Erics back on their Grizzlies.
Rockets loaded, sir.
What is that though? T-64 BMs? Those are the ones that spawned over there. Come on, that tank may be well concealed, but I have exceptional optics. It's not gonna be... Oh, it's not even a tank. Hold your fire. One missile should do it.
Grab the binoculars, Corporal.
Raven.
You spotted something?
My mortars are out of range. Okay.
Spit it out.
So we're lagging behind by about 1,600 points. And I'm floating a whole lot. T-62 there. Going in. Missed. There's a Tunguska moving about. That's what I'm targeting. Try and get it. Yep, 100 point. Did get hit a little bit. I should be fine. Nothing to worry about. Right. Get ready to pop smoke and move in. Abrams should be making short work of these tanks. There's another one. I'm gonna try and rush a CV in there, but it's not going to be easy. Not against a quad stack of T-72 alphas. Hell no.
Are you talking to me?
They're gonna murder the Slav 25s. I'm not sure why he's pushing in anyway. BRDM. Accidental kill of sorts. Let's move you away. Alright, try to rush it across. We don't have too many forces here. I'm not gonna make it work somehow. T-72 BU? Really? If that thing gets into range, and it will, that's gonna be deadly. Longbow destroyed. Wow. That is a huge problem. Send over the Eagle. Do a bombing run there. Marines, you're gonna have to make a break for it. Over to B7s are taking fire. Never gonna get in here. Yeah, this attack is doomed. Points, 20. I did neutralize their CV. Interesting. That was not what I was expecting. But that was a really lucky kill there. We need to push into CV there right now. Try to get the spawn zone. Let's get a Thunderbolt on standby. He has a lot of infantry in here. That's your 27 PU. 4 T-72As. Okay. Let's give the Thunderbolt another shot. Literally. Okay, here's a thought. Smoke it. Put the CV in there. It's a really long shot, but if I can get it in, I might be able to spawn the forces right where I need them. Meanwhile, they're responding with everything they got. Yep. Got the CV, or got the zone. Eric's good hit on the BU. A couple more hits. Yeah, it's never gonna come out alive though. Oh, Tunguska. What? That must be one of the luckiest Thunderbolts ever. Pop the Eric's. Get my combats in here. I need to keep this thing smoked. Gotta say, this is the first time I've ever attempted anything like this. Kill. Send in the Marines. Get in the structure. They neutralized it. Somehow. Where would their CV be? Somewhere there. I'm just not too sure where exactly. The Eric's are taking a buttload of fire. They're giving me exactly the right response with a bunch of fire support vehicles. Kill. Kill. Left flank is dying. Kill. Tunguska's coming for me though. Another missile going in. Might be another kill there. No, at least a hit. Maybe the Eric's can finish them off. Nope, didn't get him. Gotta keep this area smoked. Where's their CV though? I gotta find that.
The enemy don't have any air defense.
It's gonna be a bunch of helicopters. Rocket pods will do. Go there. Hit that target. There's the Tunguska again. This should neutralize most of those BTRs. BMPT even. Absolutely nothing left here. Where's their CV? That's not it. Is that it? That might be the one that dropped it off.
Need us, sir.
Okay. Keep smoking.
Checklist completed. Ready to go.
Great, my helos are being killed off here. And I lost the connection. What the hell? There's a first. Well, I guess the game was lost anyway, but let's see what I did there. 1833 in kills, 1725 losses. Not sure why I got disconnected, because my connection to the internet itself is still operational. Alright, let's see about my kill list. M1A1. What killed my first M1A1? A Sturm. I did not expect that. Oh well. Longbow got a few kills, but not as many as I would have hoped. Same for the other longbow. I managed to get those things shot down way too soon. Abrams got a few kills. That's the Eagle. Look at that. That's all the transports, including a CV. Command infantry. Overall, let's revisit this deck. Overall, I think it performed pretty well. But I do need a super heavy. I really need to have a super heavy. Because not having a super heavy made it so that I had to resort to helicopters and the Thunderbolt to go for the tank kills. So I'm going to kick in the M1A2. And I'm going to take out the Thunderbolt. And bring in, oh, not an anti-tank, a multi-role aircraft. The form of the 160-point Hornet. Yeah, this one. Bring in one of those. Because with this I now have a more effective anti-tank deck. And considering that on those large stretches of terrain the infantry wasn't really the problem, the tanks were, I just didn't have an answer to that. As for the combat, you know, I'm going to change up this deck even more. What I want to have in here is rifle infantry with the Bradley. That's going to be my autocannons. Just the main Bradley. I don't really need any specific upgrades over them. The M2A2 is very expensive, but very good. Let's go with this one. 12 of those. Delete the combat and instead bring in the very long-range CEV. This one could help me with defeating infantry entrenched in a town next time, without having to risk my Deagle multiple times. So, some slight adjustments. If you want to try this deck, the code of course is in the description down below. Make sure it doesn't have any dashes that are never supposed to be in the deck code. Sometimes you copy it, it adds the dashes and it's going to mess up the code. So make sure that if you see any of those in the code, just manually delete it and you should be good to go. Anyway, this is the General NORAD deck. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below, how you would adjust this deck. Have any questions? Let me know, and otherwise I'll see you next video.